Today we're going to be building a bike rack, freeing up some much needed garage space for around $20. Which, I mean, you can barely get a pound of Starbucks coffee for that. So I mean, come on, that's a bargain. So yeah, like I said guys, today we're going to be building a really cool, inexpensive, wall-mounted bike rack that is a great space saver. You may have seen it in some of my other videos I posted over the past couple weeks when I've been doing the garage remodel. I think I showed it or briefly talked about it in one of those videos. It's a really cool, space-saving way to store your bikes. I know I have a huge problem. I've got 3 kids, so with 3 kids, they've all got multiple bikes, trikes, 3, 4-wheeler, you know, it ends up taking up a bunch of space in the garage. And for years, I've been trying to think of a good way. Tried hanging them off the ceiling, but then the wife couldn't get them. I've tried organizing them in some fashion. None of it has really worked the way that I want it to work until I found this. And another great thing about this is, unlike some of the stuff online, you see these racks that hang from the wall, or that you mount on the, or hang from the ceiling, or that you mount on the wall. This, I mean, you can literally build, depending on what you have on hand, you might be able to build this for $5 or $10. If you need to buy everything because you don't have any of the stuff, you can probably still build this for around $20, $25. It's really cheap and I'm extremely pleased with it. It's worked really great for me. So the stuff you're gonna need, and some of this is dependent on how long of a bike rack you wanna build and how many bikes you're gonna be hanging, but all you basically need is a 2x4, some of those rubber coated big screw-in bike hooks that you can buy at your local hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatnot, and some construction screws, wood screws type thing to affix the 2x4 to your wall. A stud finder, if you have one, would be handy. So either that or borrow one from somebody, because you are going to want to make sure when you're mounting this that you drill into studs, because it's going to be holding a lot of weight. The first thing you're going to do is use a stud finder and find all your studs on the wall that you're going to mount this on. So you're going to want to locate your studs because this is going to be holding probably quite a bit of weight. So you're going to want to make sure that you screw into studs when you're mounting this on the wall. You're gonna wanna cut a 2x4 the length of the bike rack that you're wanting to build. In my case, I just used a standard 8-foot stud. That worked out good for me. It was the size I wanted, it worked for how many bikes I wanted to hang, but you could make this as long or as short as you wanted depending on how many bikes you're wanting to hang. So once you got your 2x4 cut to the length you want, you're gonna wanna attach it to the wall. And how you're gonna do that is using some 3 to 3.5 inch coarse thread screws of some nature, like some wood screws, construction screws, deck screws, something along those lines. I'll notate a couple different types down below. And you're gonna wanna just put that 2x4 on the wall where you want it. The height is gonna be dependent on the kind of bikes you're hanging and how you wanna set it up. But basically, the bikes are gonna be setting against the wall like if you rode the bike up the wall. So depending on if you've got an adult bike or a kid's bike, or how many rows you want or how you wanna set it up, basically you just wanna measure from the front tire of your bike to the back tire of your bike. Get that measurement, and that's about how high you're gonna wanna mount this 2x4 on the wall. Maybe a few inches higher if you wanna give it some clearance at the bottom for hanging. But you're gonna then put that 2x4 on the wall, and I would put probably 2 screws per stud when you're fixing that 2x4 to the wall. Like I said, it's gonna be holding a lot of weight with the bike, so you wanna make sure you get into some studs there. So after you've got your 2x4 good and secure on the wall, what you're gonna wanna do is start putting in your bike hooks. It's the big rubber coated type bike hooks. So you're gonna wanna pre-drill before you start screwing those into the 2x4. I mean, it is a pointed coarse thread. You could probably screw that right into the 2x4, but what's gonna happen is if you do that, you're gonna split that stud out horribly. So best thing to do is pre-drill a hole before you try to screw that big hook into the 2x4, so you don't split it out. Your measurement on your pre-drill is gonna be dependent on the size bike hook you get. So what you're gonna wanna do is just measure the threads of that bike hook, and the post inside the thread, you're gonna wanna make your hole just slightly smaller diameter than what you're screwing into. Then you're gonna wanna start attaching those hooks. On the measurements with that, it's also gonna be dependent on the bikes you're hanging, how close you wanna put them together. If you want easy access and you're gonna put all your bikes in the same fashion, direction with the handlebars up, you're gonna wanna measure handlebar to handlebar, get your measurement, and make sure that your hooks are spaced far enough apart that you can hang bikes and there's no interferences. I was alternating my bikes when I hung them to conserve space. Basically, one with the handlebars up, and then I flipped the other one around and hung the seat so that the seat and the handlebars lined up, which allowed me to sandwich those a lot closer together. But depending on how you wanna do it, another great thing about this bike rack is you're doing this yourself, so you can customize this however you would like. You can space them as far apart or as close together as you want. Just make sure that when you're marking them off and you want to kind of test it, and make sure you're not gonna have any interferences and you're gonna be able to get those bikes on and off without clanking into each other. So that's it. After you've got your 2x4 mounted and you've got all your hooks mounted, all you gotta do is start hanging bikes. Mine's got several bikes hanging on it. I've had no issues with it. It's nice because it's low enough down that my wife can easily get the bikes on and off. Because you're building it yourself, it's very customizable. You can do multiple levels. You could do a higher level and a lower level for smaller bikes and taller bikes. I mean, you know, the sky's the limit with how you customize this thing, and it's expandable. You could hang 50 bikes from it if you wanted to take up a whole wall, or 2 bikes from it if you wanted a smaller one. So 1, 2, 3, 4 bikes, a scooter, and a hoverboard cart. Now these 2 trike bike weird things actually worked out really well. I had some ladder racks that you could buy at Home Depot for just a couple bucks. I just adjusted those with the height that we're hanging, and that actually worked really well because those are kind of odd to hang. But yeah, so I mean, all that is hung on the wall off the floor, and I don't know if you can tell, but it only sticks out the height of a bike from the wall. So I mean, you know, to here you're talking, I don't know, 3.5 feet, something like that. So you got 3.5 feet off the wall, but I mean, like I said, these things took up this whole area before, and you couldn't really pleased with that. So yeah, this thing was great for me. It allowed me to free up a lot of space in my garage, and because of the fact that it's so customizable with lengths and heights and whatever, the possibilities are really endless. So I loved it. It's been great. It's really cheap to make. This was not my original idea. There's another YouTuber that I saw this from, so I will notate his. He did a really good job in his video, and he went into some more specifics on the exact measurements he used. I wasn't getting too specific on the measurements. That I was just trying to give you the theory of how to do this and allow you to kind of adjust the measurements as to how you need it and customize it to your needs. But I will notate his channel because he did a really good job with his video. All right, guys, hopefully you like this bike rack as much as I do. I think it's a great little bike rack for really cheap. It's worked great for me. If you have any questions, ask them down below in the comments and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. If you like this video, smash that like button, share it with your friends. Hopefully they'll find it useful also. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. All right, guys, well, we will see you soon in the next video.
Allison just came out and said, I have working man smell. She's back here. I don't know what working man, I think she's trying to tell me I stink. I mean, I showered like at least once this week. I don't have BO. I don't smell any BO. I think she's crazy. She said it's not BO, it's working man smell, which I guess is like sweaty dude. I don't know. What is working man smell?
Like a man that's been working.
Eau de toilette day, man that's been working, sweating and